So in the previous lecture, we have found out the relation between externally applied electric field, polarization vector, and electric flux density or electric displacement vector. Now, so far, whenever we talk about the properties or characteristics of dielectric material, we have only discussed the electronic or electric polarizability of the material, the ratio of polarization vector to the electric field strength E, that is P by E, if you remember. Apart from that, there are so many other properties or characteristics, quantities of dielectric materials. And we will discuss all of them and try to find out the relation between them. One thing is sure that if you supply more amount of electric field, you will get more amount of polarization vector. Because how polarization vector was defined? Polarization vector was defined as the total amount of dipole moment per unit volume. That was polarization vector capital P. Total amount of dipole moment per unit volume was the polarization vector. And that means if you can increase the total amount of dipole moment, polarization vector can be increased. How can you increase the total amount of dipole moment? If you can increase the electric field, then more and more amount of molecules will be converted into dipoles. That means more dipole moments will be created. Again, if the electric field is increased, then the separation between positive and negative charges can be increased. If the separation between positive and negative charges is increased, that means dipole moment will be increased. That means polarization vector will be increased. So one thing is sure, that polarization vector P is proportional to electric field. More the electric field, more will be the polarization vector. So if we write it in terms of equality, so P should be equal to some constant into electric field. Now you observe here, instead of a single constant, I have written two constants, epsilon naught chi. Epsilon naught is known to you, that is free space permittivity. In electrostatics, whenever electric field comes, this free space permittivity is also available. But the point is, why instead of writing a single constant, I'm writing two constants here. Because if we have written it in such a way that this constant, the new constant, this new quantity will be dimensionless. We want to make this new quantity chi e dimensionless. To make it dimensionless, we are multiplying chi e and e with a known constant epsilon, so that chi e becomes dimensionless. If it is dimensionless, that means it has no unit, then we need not to bother about which converting system we are using, whether I am using CGS system or SI system. I have no problem, because chi has no unit. That's why it is written in that way. So epsilon naught chi is the total constant, because P is proportional to E. Now we know from our previous class that displacement vector can be written in terms of electric field and polarization vector as D equal to epsilon naught E plus P. But now we have written E equals to epsilon naught chi E. By the way, this chi E is called electric susceptibility of the material. It is also an inherent property of the medium. There are two types of susceptibility of material generally. One is called electric susceptibility, other is magnetic susceptibility. That's why instead of writing susceptibility, you should always write electric susceptibility or chi. It is an inherent property of the material. So whenever we have a material, we have a medium, you must know the susceptibility of that material. And we'll understand this susceptibility is somehow related with the dielectric constant of the material. We will discuss it. P equal to epsilon naught chi e, and D we know epsilon naught E plus P. Keep writing. So if we replace P by this, it will be epsilon naught E plus epsilon naught chi e. So we can take E common. So if I take E common and epsilon naught common, then we can write it as epsilon naught 1 plus chi e into E. No doubt. Now, already you have said this chi is constant for a material. When the material is fixed, this chi is constant. Epsilon naught is already constant. It is a free space permittivity. It is a constant quantity. Therefore, this whole thing is constant for a particular material. For a particular material, this whole thing is a constant. So I am giving it another name. I'm saying it epsilon, which is called permittivity of the medium. You have also used permittivity whenever you studied electrostatics in class 12. For, for free space, for vacuum, this value of permittivity is epsilon, free space permittivity. Therefore, D can be written as epsilon E. Or epsilon, which is equals to epsilon naught 1 plus chi E, is called permittivity of the material. So please note it down. P equal to epsilon naught chi E, where chi E is called electric susceptibility of the material. D equal to epsilon E, where epsilon, the permittivity of the material, equals to epsilon 0 into 1 plus chi E. So epsilon is also a characteristic, a property of the material, but it has unit. It has some unit. It's not dimensionless quantity. And as I told you earlier, that it is always easier to handle with dimensionless quantity. That's why what we'll do, we'll divide the permittivity by free space permittivity, because both have same unit, and that quantity is called relative permittivity. So if we divide epsilon, that is permittivity of the material, by its free space permittivity, then the quantity which we get is called relative permittivity. It is the permittivity of the medium relative to free space. So it is called relative permittivity, or it has another name, dielectric constant. So what you have studied in class 12 as dielectric constant is nothing but relative permittivity. They are same. And since relative permittivity is the ratio, it has a dimensionless quantity. It has no unit. And what we have observed in the previous slide, epsilon is epsilon naught 1 plus chi E. Therefore, epsilon r will be 1 plus chi E. Epsilon r equals to 1 plus chi E. Now you observe, we have already said chi E, the electrical susceptibility, is dimensionless quantity. And that's why epsilon r is also a dimensionless quantity. So you understand, though, whenever you are talking about a material, say you are talking about O2, is a non-polar dielectric medium. Say H2O is a polar dielectric material. So whenever you are talking about this dielectric material, you need to specify some characteristic quantity of those material. Like you need to tell about the polarizability of that water, polarizability of oxygen. Similarly, you need to say relative permittivity, dielectric constant, uh, permittivity of the medium, susceptibility of the medium, etc. Now, I am just telling you, you need not to bother about all these quantities. That's why I'm showing you the relationship. If you only know the electrical susceptibility of water, if you know the value of electrical susceptibility of water, that will be sufficient for you. Because if you know electrical susceptibility, then you do know the relative permittivity or dielectric constant of the medium. You know that. So if you know electrical susceptibility, so from that you can say about the relative permittivity of the medium, because epsilon r equals to 1 plus I. If you know relative permittivity or dielectric constant of the material, then you actually know permittivity of that material also, because epsilon equals to epsilon naught into epsilon r. That means if you know epsilon r, you know actually epsilon. So all are related. So if you know the value of chi E, you just add 1 to it, you will get dielectric constant. If you know the dielectric constant, multiply it with the free space permittivity, you will get the permittivity of the medium. That means, or in other terms, if you know epsilon r, the dielectric constant or relative permittivity of the medium, then subtract 1 from it, you will get the electrical susceptibility of that material. So they are interrelated. So need not to bother about them. You need to know one quantity only. So out of these three quantities we have just discussed, you actually need to know one. Anyone will be sufficient for you. But we have also said about another quantity, atomic polarizability. Why do we need to remember atomic polarizability then? If I know this any of these three. So So if we can find out a relation between the dielectric constant or susceptibility with atomic polarizability, then it will be helpful for us. Let's try to find it out. If you remember that how we have defined dipole moment, that dipole moment is proportional to electric field, and the proportionality constant was called atomic polarizability. So atomic polarizability was defined as the dipole moment per unit electric field applied. Again, the polarization vector was defined as the total amount of dipole moment per unit volume. That is, if n is the number of atoms or number of dipoles per unit volume, number of dipoles per unit volume is n, and p is the dipole moment of each, then n into p would be the total dipole moment per unit volume, and that is nothing but the polarization vector. So if we put the value of p, we will get polarization vector as n alpha e. So this is the relation we can write between p and e. But from our previous slide, we have already written p in terms of electric field, in terms of susceptibility, like this. So p can also be written in this way. So p can be written in terms of electric field by these two ways. Polarization vector can be represented in these two ways. So we can compare them. So if I compare them, we observe that n alpha equals to epsilon naught chi e. Epsilon naught chi e equals to n alpha. That we can say. What is our objective? Our objective is to find out relation between susceptibility and polarizability. Then it is already obtained. That means suppose you know susceptibility, now you want to know polarizability, then this formula is sufficient. And you observe you don't require any other formula. Whatever we have already used, we are taking them. We have already used that P can be written in terms of electric field, in terms of atomic polarizability as P equals to n alpha e. Again, we have written total polarization in terms of electric field, in terms of susceptibility. So P can be written as epsilon naught chi e. If we can compare them, we get the relation between electrical susceptibility and polarizability. So if the question is find out the relation between electrical susceptibility and polarizability, that would be your answer. But if the question is find out the relation between dielectric constant or relative permittivity, they are same, only the name is different. Then we need to rewrite chi in terms of relative permittivity. We know relative permittivity is 1 plus chi. We need to just add 1 with susceptibility to get the relative permittivity or dielectric constant. So chi will be epsilon r minus 1. Put it. What you will get? Epsilon naught into epsilon r minus 1 equal to n alpha. So from that you can write relative permittivity in terms of atomic polarizability. Please note down. So these are the interrelationship among these quantities. So if you just relate these quantities, then one of these quantities will be sufficient to find out all the other quantities. So though in case of dielectric materials, all these quantities can represent the characteristics of the material, in practical cases, the knowledge of one will be sufficient for us. If I know one, from their interrelationship, we can find out the other quantities also. So please note down the relationship, because now we will discuss some numerical problems so that we can understand it in a better way. For that, we require these relations. So what relations you have? 1 by 1, first relation, d equal to epsilon naught e plus p. Then you have this relation. Then you have this one. Then you have this. You have this quantity and this one. That will be sufficient for us for all types of numerical problems that can be asked. Like problem number 1. It says atomic polarizability of helium is this. Atomic polarizability of helium is given as this SI unit. So what is supplied? Alpha is given. Atomic polarizability is supplied. Density is given as this. Question is calculate induced dipole moment per unit volume of helium gas if it is placed in a field of this. If you are not certain about the quantity, check its unit. Sometimes the names which are given are confusing, like here density is meaningless. But if you observe the unit is atoms per
Atomic
meter cube,
density.
atomic
Oh,
density. That means
yes.
number of atoms per unit volume. That means this is nothing but
Atomic density.
N.
Yes.
What we define N is the number of atoms, number of dipoles per unit volume. Na? That is your N. So always check the unit for any subject. It is very helpful. So N is supplied, atomic polarization is supplied. What else? If it is placed in a field of this, again confusing. Field. Which type of field? There can be several types of field. Gravitational field, electric field, magnetic field. What is that field? Again checking it. Volt per centimeter, electric field. So it is electric field which is supplied. And of course, we are dealing with dielectric materials, so it should be electric field. So atomic polarizability, density of atoms, or atomic density supplied, and electric field is given. Now, first two quantities are in SI unit already. Electric field is given in volt per centimeter. So we need to write it in proper SI unit, that is volt per meter. So it will be written in terms of volt per meter. Okay. 6 into 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power 2. So 6 into 10 to the power 5 volt per meter. So that is the electric field. So these are given. Now what you have to estimate? You have to find out polarization vector P. So what will be your formula? So P equals to N alpha E. We have already used this formula. P equals to N alpha E. All the quantities are given here. N is supplied 2.6 into 10 to the power 25. Alpha this and electric field this. If you put those values, you get polarization vector as this coulomb per meter square. At the time of exam, if you are not certain about the unit, then write SI unit. If you are confused about the units, because here so many quantities we are using, you may forget some units. Don't bother. Try to find out the unit from the quantities itself. Like unit of N is given, unit of alpha is given, unit of E is given. So from that, try to estimate the unit. If you cannot, just write SI unit. No harm in it. Now the first part is done. Second part, also calculate the separation between center of positive and negative charges. We know that whenever dipoles are created, dipoles means positive and negative charges separated by a small distance, say r. We have to find out this r. We have to find out the separation between positive and negative charges. That means this r. How do you do it? Now, when r is involved only when dipole moment is there. Because if you remember, let me write. Better to do it in this way. We know that P equals to Q into R. Dipole moment is charge into separation. Charge into separation. Oh, yeah, I have written it here. So Q is dipole moment P equals to Q into D. If I say D is the separation between them, D is the separation between them. So D you have to find out. What about Q? What is the value of Q? Which type of material is given here? Here it is helium gas. And we know helium has atomic number of 2. That means it has 2 electrons present. So its charge will be 2 of electronic charge, that means 2 into E. So charge of helium molecule will be 2E. Charge of helium molecule will be 2E. So charge is known. You need to find out this separation between the two charges. What do you require? You require P then. This is your formula. This is our formula. Q is known. Q is 2E. D needs to be estimated. So if we know P, D can be estimated easily. How will you know P? P equals to again alpha E. P equals to polarizability into electric field. Both are known. So P can be written as alpha E and P can also be written as Q into D. So from that, estimate D as alpha E by Q. Alpha is supplied, E is supplied, and Q, the charge, you can estimate from the material given. So here the material is helium gas. You know helium has atomic number of 2. That means it has 2 electrons present in this molecule. Therefore, 2 into electronic charge. which is 1.6 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Put those values, you get D in meter. Okay. Another type. So in the previous question, what we have used the polarization vector, we have used the dipole moment. Now, and polarizability also given. So we have used polarizability also. Now in this problem, it says diameter of argon atom is this. Find the polarizability at STP, standard temperature and pressure. Given the dielectric constant of argon is this. Dielectric constant is supplied. That means if I write dielectric constant as epsilon r, relative permittivity, so that is given. What you have to estimate? You have to estimate polarizability. That means you have to estimate alpha. That is the question. Supplied thing, one thing is sure, epsilon r is supplied. Diameter is also given, but we'll check whether we can use it or not. Because so far, whatever relationship you have, there is no diameter present. Now, if you need to estimate alpha from epsilon r, what would be the formula? What would be your formula? Relation between epsilon r and atomic polarizability. This is the relation. Atomic polarizability equals to epsilon r minus 1 by n. Alpha equals to epsilon r minus 1 by n. That is the formula. So note it down. Now, in our case, you observe there is no need of this quantity, diameter of argon. This is not required for us. We require epsilon r. What we require other thing, epsilon 0, which is known. It's a constant value, it's known. We require also n, number of atoms per unit volume, atomic density, which is not supplied directly. Then how do we calculate alpha? So for that type of question, read the question properly. So that if there is some hint given in that question for the unknown quantity, you observe here, it is said that you need to find out polarizability at standard temperature and pressure. That is your hint. This will help you to estimate n. Now at standard temperature and pressure, what is the number of atoms present? Avogadro number. And that is within 22.4 liter. We know within in standard temperature and pressure in STP, the 1 liter 22.4 liter contains 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 number of atoms. Avogadro number of atoms. So from that we can estimate our n. Our n is nothing but number per unit volume. Number per unit volume. So this is your number per unit volume. So this needs to be written in terms of meter cube. So it is number per volume. Number is Avogadro number by volume. Volume is 22.4 liters. So we convert it into 10 to the power minus 3 meter cube. So it is 6.023 10 to the power 23 by 22.4 into 10 to the power minus 3. If you calculate it, it comes out to be this. So n can be estimated because n is not directly given in the question. So if it is not directly given, we can estimate it. So n is estimated. Epsilon r is given. So from that we can easily calculate alpha. Now put the values. So alpha comes out to be this. Generally, if you check the practice material, the atomic polarizability will be of the order of 10 to the power minus 40 SI unit, Farad beta square.